Hey guys, Tom Barton from TomBartonSports.com here. Hey, I got to tell you, we got to talk a little college football today, and coaches are on the menu to talk about first and foremost. And I got to tell you, the big coach, David Cutcliffe, no. Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, let's get into it, okay? Look, my thoughts here right away. Lincoln Riley, he saw the SEC was coming, sure. Brian Kelly, well, he used Notre Dame as a stepping stone. Ooh, that kind of hurts. But forget about all that. Forget about the idea right now that Lincoln Riley was terrified of the SEC. Forget about the idea that Brian Kelly wanted a new challenge after, 12 years at Notre Dame. Forget about all the conversation of whatever they tell you. This is about one thing, and it's about money, money, money. That's all it is. You know, I want one coach to stand up in front of the microphone and just say, hey, man, I got paid a boatload of money, and that's why I went. Because that's both of these cases. You hear about Lincoln Riley. Look, you know, they bought his 2 houses in Norman, Oklahoma, and they bought him a house in L.A. For about $1 million, so you get a little apartment probably. But you also look at Brian Kelly. They bought his houses. This is all about money. But when we look at it from overall, look, what should we expect is really the more daunting question here. And I think both of these guys, look, both of them are making good moves. They're good career moves. No place in the country can navigate around a recruiting schedule like USC, right? Lincoln Riley, as good as Oklahoma was, Lincoln Riley could sit on his couch with his feet up, and he doesn't have to leave LA, and he could recruit some of the best people in the country. USC has unlimited funds. It's just a better job. And I don't mean to get like this on you guys from Oklahoma. I have no love for LA, but it's just a better job. Brian Kelly and Notre Dame, this is a question that people are going to get a little upset about. Notre Dame backers, what are you going to say? You know what? Notre Dame's a premier place. Yeah, you got national TV games on NBC. It's got the history. It has all of that. But there are things that Notre Dame is missing. First of all, there's the conference. It just doesn't have one, right? Which means it doesn't have a pure rival. Yeah, you could face Navy. Yeah, that's your rival. It used to be USC, who's been down, but you don't have that. So there's a little energy there. There's a little bit of something there. Notre Dame is also, look, academically, it's a little bit difficult to get into Notre Dame, which limits some of the recruits. That's reality. It's honesty. Okay. You also have the conduct policy. It's also a private Catholic institution as opposed to a place like LSU, which is just a different animal. I look at Brian Kelly and I think that he did a good job for Notre Dame. I don't like the smear campaign that's going on for him. I think he did a good job. He took over a mess. I mean, it was a mess of a program when he took over. And for more than a decade, he's put them back prominently on the map. I mean, this year they won't, but this year you even talk about them maybe going to a national championship, at least a playoff. This is what Brian Kelly has done. So both of these jobs are better jobs. And the boatload of money is really the deciding factor. Let's go back to Lincoln Riley for a minute. What can you expect, USC? Well, you're going to get the 55-10 record in 5 seasons in Oklahoma. Yeah, that's going to be something. You're going to get really good offenses. I think there's a Heisman Trophy in your future, USC. But you're going to get bad defenses. And this is a guy that I think you're going to look at. He could go through the Pac-12. He could go 11-1, waltz through it without a problem. Doesn't have to deal with the SEC. Yeah, sure. He can do all that. But at the end of the day, what's Lincoln Riley going to do? Is he going to host a lot of trophies? Because I don't think that he is. He didn't really do it in Oklahoma. He had great teams. It's not this guy is a consistent over and over winner. No, he went up against SEC teams and he lost. And I am not somebody that thinks that the SEC dominates. I'm somebody that thinks that the Pac-12 was weak. I think that this is somebody that thinks that the Pac-12 is weak and that the Big 12 was weak. And he went from a weak conference to a weak conference, as opposed to going and battling it out in the SEC. You look at, Brian Kelly, it's a little bit different. Brian Kelly's going from, okay, I'm Notre Dame. I have to constantly be fighting. We have to kind of arrange a schedule that I can navigate through. But at the end of the day, you know what? I still got to be able to win it. And it's got to look impressive. So he's gone through all that. With LSU, he walks in. LSU, the SEC formula is what it is. You play 2 or 3 tough games a year. It's in your conference, so you tell everybody it's really tough games. You get bye weeks in the 3rd week of November. Yeah, all the SEC teams did that this year. And you look at this and you go, okay, I can do that. The thing with Brian Kelly is how long until he gets fired? It's not a matter of when, it's how long until he gets fired. Because Ed Orgeron was one of theirs. He was one of their guys. He can tell me about the extenuating circumstances and Ed Orgeron's sex scandals. I don't care, okay? He was one of their guys, and he just won. If Brian Kelly comes here and he doesn't win a national championship, and that's what I mean, not winning 10 games is not enough. Brian Kelly goes there and he doesn't win a national championship in the next 4 years. Does he have a job? How long are you giving him before he gets to the national championship and wins it? See, Lincoln Riley could go to USC. He could get him in the college football playoff 2 times in the next 5 years and his job is safe. You don't have to lift the trophy. LSU, you have to lift the trophy. LSU, you have to come in there and consistently lift that trophy. That's a tough spot. Now, let's also look at what these guys are going to be, right? I think they're both going to have a difficult time next year. I think that USC recruiting is fantastic, but right now, their roster is not very good. You can look at their roster and you go, oh, there's a bunch of 5-star guys. Well, they're 5-star guys because they chose USC, okay? I think that their roster is not very good. I don't know if I'm going out there right now and saying that Lincoln Riley is going to be a success in his first year, maybe 2 years. He's going to have to recruit. He's going to have to recruit hard. He also still has a pretty decent Oregon team to go up against. I don't think that Lincoln Riley wins the Pac-12 in the next 2 years. I don't see USC in a playoff for at least 3 seasons. Now, USC, you could go, well, you know what? Once we get there, we'll be fine. Yeah, you're right. He will recruit offensive players. He will come on board. He's bringing some guys with him, and the portal has changed everything, right? So he's going to be good. He's going to be marketably good in a couple of years, but don't expect this all of a sudden next year to just become the dominant way for Lincoln Riley. Brian Kelly, I believe the same kind of thing. Look, LSU is in a tough spot at the SEC and their navigation through the schedule. They have a lot of tough teams there. The one thing that he needs, and he does well, he loves the trenches, guys. He loves the down and dirty, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. LSU's roster is void of that. So he's going to have to start fresh in that kind of vein. Now, again, I think Lincoln Riley's fine. I think Lincoln Riley goes out there next year, wins 9-10 games, maybe struggles with a Utah, maybe struggles with an Oregon, no problem. Okay, I think he does that the year after that. He wins 9-10 games. Yeah, okay. And then he gets into the playoff conversation in year 3. And let's say he gets to the playoff years 4 and 5, but he lists no trophy. In 5 years from now, Lincoln Riley will still be fine. He will change the culture in USC. He's going to be okay. Brian Kelly? Not so much. Brian Kelly goes out there and he only wins 8-9 games next year. It's a problem. Brian Kelly goes out there and he's not a top 10 team in the next 2 years. It's going to be a problem. Brian Kelly goes out there and makes college football playoff 2 of the next 5 years, but he doesn't win a championship. I think Brian Kelly will be out of a job. That's the difference between the LSU job and the Notre Dame job. And that's the difference between what Lincoln Riley went from Oklahoma to USC, Brian Kelly going from Notre Dame down to LSU. It's just a different standard. Let's talk a little bit about the other coaches that have been mentioned. First of all, get rid of the garbage. Cliff Kingsbury's not going anywhere. Oh, it's his first contract. Oh, his contract's almost up. Read between the lines, guys. What do you think about Cliff Kingsbury? Where is he going? He's not leaving Arizona. This is nothing more than the agent going, oh yeah, everybody wants him. Everybody wants him. Oh, sure. And then you got this moron, Adam Gase. The guy can't coach a peewee football team. And he's going, I might field calls from Notre Dame. Don't worry, that phone's not ringing. Adam Gase is not going to Notre Dame. But you do have some big names. I wouldn't be surprised if Shaw left Stanford for a better opportunity. That's somebody to look at. Aranda, the Baylor coach, wouldn't be surprised about that. Maybe Mike Tomlin. No, Tomlin's not going anywhere. Lane Kiffin's going to be the big name. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Jimbo jumped ship. Now, I thought he would have jumped ship to LSU if that was going to be the case. Wouldn't shock me if Jimbo jumped ship. Josh Heupel, I've heard, name being thrown around. He's not going back to Oklahoma, not after the way they fired him. Mark Stoops, his name's been thrown around. I don't know if I see that either. A name to keep in mind is Greg Schiano out of Rutgers. I think that Schiano is a hot commodity. We've seen he can turn programs around really quickly. I don't think he fits the Notre Dame situation, but around the league, he could be a hot name and starting to kind of get into it. This is a rare instance where college football is dominating the headlines. Major League Baseball has massive signings. The NFL is in divisional week right now, and college football is dominating the headlines. Not for what's going to be played on the field this weekend, but what's happening off the field. As far as this weekend in the college football playoff goes, Make no mistake about it, Notre Dame is out. They are out of the college football playoff. I don't care what happens. They're out. Because one of the criteria that they give the voters, and a lot of people don't realize this, is you have head-to-head record, be careful of conference championship, make sure you factor that in, make sure you factor in head-to-head, make sure you factor all that in. But the last thing they give you to factor in for your vote is if any key players or coaches are not with the team. They tell you that. Well, if people are voting on Notre Dame, and they know Brian Kelly won't be there, Notre Dame has officially lost their spot in the college football playoff. There's no chances. So, to Notre Dame and Oklahoma, I'm sorry, it stinks. They went for greener pastures. The smear campaigns, it's going to come. Try to just enjoy what you had. Don't blame the guy. They took it for the money. It was a better job, sure, but they did it for the money, and that's just the way it is. All right, guys, if you like this, please subscribe, like my channel. Make sure you comment below. Let me know what you think. You people from Oklahoma and Notre Dame, let your voices be heard. And the people in LA and LSU, let your voices be heard also. Have a good one, everybody.